Hello and welcome to the Book Refuge, and welcome to another recommendations video. Oop, I'm gonna take off my sweater for this because guys, it's about to get hot in here. We're doing some taboo book recommendations. This is gonna be some taboo age gaps. This is gonna be my third age gap recommendations video, and you guys always love these. And I gotta tell you, I have read so many age gaps recently. I'm in the middle of two more. It is my favorite trope. There's just something sexy about it. There just is. There's something so sexy about an age gap to me. And it's my favorite taboo. And whether it's even super taboo or not, sometimes it's not actually that taboo at all, right? But I have quite a few for you. I think I have 10 I think I have 10 of them today, and they're all ones I haven't talked about before, and they're actually all ones I've read within the last 60 days, and I'm gonna have more to add to this list now anyway. So let's go right ahead and jump into this with a male-male age gap, which I've only ever read one other of these, and my friend Lynn, hello Lynn, my darling, she sent this to me. This is by N.R. Walker, and it's the Thomas Ilkin trilogy. And I believe the first one is called The Elegance of Retrofit, I think. This is about an architect, and his firm takes on a new intern who is his son's best friend. And Thomas is immediately attracted to him. Thomas is kind of sorta in the closet. A few people know that he's gay, but his parents don't know. And so it's kind of on the DL. He doesn't really preach about it or anything, but people know. And then his son's friend starts at his architect firm, and he's an intern there. And it is so sexy, but also really sweet. If you don't like a high level of smut in any book, I highly suggest this one. There's not a ton of overly graphic sex. And also this whole trilogy, you really should kind of see it as one book, because there's 3 novellas and then an extended epilogue basically. And they're each only about 150 pages. And none of them have a huge cliffhanger. And they really tell one story. So Lynn always says, she's they're all on KU, just download all 3 and just see them as a 3-act play structure, if you will. This one is adorable. The younger man definitely makes the first move, and it's so sexy. They're working on this project together, and he just says, I think we should kiss. I think we should kiss. We have this tension between us. And Thomas is oh, I don't think we should do that. I mean, he's before we worry about what this means for my career or your career or for your relationship with your son, let's find out if we even have a chance. Let's see if the chemistry's there. So they kiss, and there's chemistry there. This one was very sweet, and I really enjoyed the trilogy, and it was just too short because, like I said, it's really only one book, and I loved them. It was adorable. It was great. Next, I have for you Misbehaved by Charlie Rose. This one is a student-teacher romance. This one is complicated to set up. This one is, the girl starts at 17. I don't actually know how old her teacher is. I don't remember. I think he's late 20s, early 30s, so about a 10-year, a little more gap. And this girl, she actually lives with her stepbrother, who's a few years older than her. And it worked out where his mom was with her dad, and then his mom left, and she's grown up with him, and her dad travels all the time, and he has started kind of making moves on her. Now, she isn't super interested in this, but she does rely on Ryan as her only support system. So she's a little overwhelmed with the fact he's making moves on her. And she doesn't know how to handle it because she doesn't want to ruin what they have, but she isn't really interested in him that way. She's also from the wrong side of the tracks, if you want to call it that, and she started at this more prestigious academy, and one of her teachers there his name is Pierce, and he actually knows her stepbrother. In fact, her stepbrother, who is a drug dealer and drug addict, is the reason that his sister is dead. So he wants some revenge against her stepbrother. He also starts to see this girl as kind of like could be in as much danger as his sister was. And so he has that protective instinct for her, as well as starting to have feelings for her. This also is kind of like a hate to love situation because this man is very good looking. He's used to students hitting on him. He's used to having to fend off female attention from his students. So he puts out a very brusque attitude. He puts out a very hard shell because he doesn't want to invite that kind of attention, which is bad. But the deeper and deeper he gets in with this girl and her stepbrother, it becomes harder for them to resist. And this book has just, the buildup is insane, and she gets a very nice birthday present. That's all I'll say about that. It was great. I'll just talk about all the student-teacher ones I have on this list. I have a couple more on here. So the next one is called Her Perfect by Steffi Walls. This is another one that doesn't have super graphic sex in it. This is a slow build till about halfway through. And this is a student who's 18, and her brother's best friend, who is 24, becomes her AP English teacher. So this isn't a huge age gap. It's more because it's taboo because of the student-teacher part. This girl, she's also dealing with an eating disorder. So there are trigger warnings for bulimia. And she is also pretty neglected by her family. And so Eli is the name of the teacher. He starts to notice her right away, and he's like, oh no, oh no, oh no, this is my student, this is my friend's sister, I can't be having this. But the more he pays attention to her, the more he realizes that her family just completely ignores her. She has 3 or 4 brothers, and they are all in football and sports, and they're everything their parents could want. And she's a girl, and she's into piano. She's very good at piano. They don't come to her performances or her lessons or pay any attention to her. Her brother's wife is a bully and actually totally aggravates her eating disorder horribly, and her family doesn't say anything against it. And Eli really starts to notice this as he spends time with her family and her. And so they end up starting to work out together every morning. They go for runs at the same time. And it's actually a very, very beautiful build to their relationship. And I don't really consider this one that taboo, especially because he's very careful. And it actually has just, I don't want to spoil the whole thing for you. This one was beautiful. And if you're someone who you don't feel too comfortable about student-teacher, the taboo, which is totally fine, I feel like this is a really good one to start with because it's not a huge age gap one. And this is one where there was a previous relationship, family-wise. He just hasn't seen her during the years he's actually a doctor. He finished his doctorate in 7 years, starting in early. So it's really fun because he's actually a doctor and he's only 24. That sure makes me feel unaccomplished. But this one is so beautiful, but it does have those trigger warnings, but it isn't overly sexual, and it was just a sweet love story. And this man, helping her realize her worth, but he is not the answer to that. This book does the work. It isn't just this girl is neglected, this man pays attention to her, and she's all of a sudden fixed, which that happens sometimes in age gaps or student teacher, and that is not the case. There are issues going on with this girl that she needs professional help for, and I very much respected this book for doing that. This wasn't a love fixes everything. This was a love is here to wait and support and build you up while you deal with your stuff. So this book went on my favorite books of the year for this year. You'll hear about it again when I talk about it more, but I really, really, really suggest Her Perfect, and I would suggest it even not as age gap or taboo. Like, I'm going to suggest this in other scenarios as well. It was beautiful. Is Lessons in Corruption by Gianna Darling. This is an MC student-teacher romance. This is the first in the Fallen Men series. This is about the son who is like the king of the motorcycle group. He's the president, and his name is actually Cain, and he's 18 years old, and he doesn't sure whether he plans to patch in to the group or not. And it's about this woman who, Cressida is her name. Her name is Cress. She has been married to, it's actually funny because she's married to someone who is 18 years older than her when she was 18. So he was 36 and she was 18, and like her family totally just packaged her off to this guy because he's a lawyer and he's successful. And she hasn't been fulfilled in this relationship with him. He makes sex and love feel very dirty to her, and he has high expectations. And so after 8 years of being married to him, so she's actually only 26, she just up and leaves him because she isn't being fulfilled and she wants to do things on her own. And then she meets King first she sees him, and that kind of sparks this. And then she meets him, and they have this kind of great night together, not having sex, but doing a bunch of other fun things. And then a couple days later, he comes into her class. It's always AP English, isn't it? She's his AP English teacher. And she realizes that not only is he her student, but he knew who she was the second time he saw her. Not the first time, but the second time. And he purposely put on all this charm to get her to like him before she found out he was her student. Then ensues him wooing the shit out of this lady, and it's amazing. And my friend Chloe from Always Booked, she read this as well, which it was a departure for her. She really loved the found family aspect, but she was like, I can't believe an 18-year-old would be a sex god and all these things. And I was like, girl, I understand, but this is a fantasy. And I loved King. He was amazing. I really liked it. The next book in the series is also an age gap, but I didn't like it, so I'm not going to talk about it. But it's called Welcome to the Dark Side, and it's about King's father, and then it's an age gap the other way. But that was really good. Next, I have a couple really fun, smutty novellas for you. The first one is called Forbidden Bride by Penny Wilder. And this one is about a girl who, when she was 18, it was her birthday, she made a move on her father's best friend, and she liked him for a while. She was super into him. And he spurred her. He was like, no, I can't do this. I'm attracted to you. I can't. I'll ruin my relationship with your dad. I can't do it. And he basically ran away. Like, straight up ran away, moved somewhere else, which kind of ruined his relationship with her dad anyway, but he ran. Now it's been, I think it's 4 years later, and she's 22, and he comes back again, and he's like, I'm sorry I ran. I wasn't prepared back then, not just because you were too young, but because of other things. I'm here now. I love you. And I want to marry you. So this is a novella. So of course it's whirlwind, it's crazy, it's craze balls. But he comes back ready to pursue and win this girl back because he realizes the mistakes that he made in not making it go with her. So this was fun. That's really all to tell you in the front end because it's quick. The other one is Your Dad Will Do by Katie Robert. I love Katie Robert. If you've been around at all, you know. This book just came out, and it was based off of a tweet where Katie wanted to write a daddy kink novel. And so in this one, we have a woman who she just caught her fiance cheating on her. And so she goes to his father for revenge. She breaks off the engagement, obviously. And then she shows up at his dad's house and asks him to screw her. And he says, do you want to call me daddy? I think that's what you want. And they have a weekend together. And it was amazing. That's all I need to say. That's the setup. It's like 120 pages. It's fabulous. And it's good. It's good. It's real good. All right, what else we got? Okay, we have the Mr. Cain series by Shanora Williams. I believe the first one is Wanting Mr. Cain. This is another father's best friend series. Whew, this one was hard, but it was so good. It's kind of the same situation as the Forbidden Bride, but there's a lot more to the series. So, ooh, how do I say this? It's the same kind of setup. She like makes a move on her dad's friend. He's like, can't do it, can't do it, can't do it. They tempt each other into it. They do it. And then it's basically just about them trying to figure it out. And there's also some mob ties wrapped into it. This is also people of color in this. Our lead is African American. I'm not sure if it is a biracial family because I don't remember what her mom is. I can't remember. I know that her dad is African American, so it's at least biracial. And then Cain is a mix as well. So this was really fun because I don't read a lot of biracial or people of color novels. Its own voices as well, because Shanora Williams is African American as well. And I loved this series. This one was really fun, really dirty, really sexy. Loved it. It's 3 books. Again, they're all pretty short ones. And yeah, it's watching everything you figured out. This one has some serious violence in it. Mr. Cain has a crazy ex-girlfriend. So know that there is, I don't think there's sexual assault, but there is crime, like attack. There is an assault, just not of the sexual kind. And there is the trigger for miscarriage. So please know that. I don't want anyone to be shocked by that. Because that stuff hurts me, and that's not even something I've like been through, but I've had family members who are, and so it's not quite a trigger, but it's something I'm sensitive to, so just know that. But the series was sexy and fun. Then, oh boy, we got to talk about the Off Balance series by Lucia Franco, which number one, you have to buy this from the author's website. It is the only place you can get it. Each book is $4.99, I think. And holy crap. This is the one you've probably heard about if you've watched any of the Taboo age gap videos people have done. I solidly gave the entire... So there's 4... Excuse me. There's currently 4 books out in the series, but there's 1 more to come, which I did not know when I started. I thought there was only 4. And then as I'm getting closer and closer to the end of this one, I'm like, this isn't going to be the end of this book. That's not good. But this is about a girl, and it starts when she's 15. So far, the series has taken place over 2 years, because in the last book, she was 17. But she's kind of a brat. She stays a brat for a long time. And honestly, that was a harder aspect than the taboo part, because... But I gotta remember, she is a child. She's a really bratty, spoiled child, but she is a child. And I've never so much felt in a taboo before how childish a child was before then. But there's also triggers for non-consent in this series. But the girl, she falls for her Russian gymnast teacher. Yeah, Kova. And she just, I mean, the girl straight up like pursues him hard and then is a little taken aback with how much I feel like she gets back from him. And it's twisted. There's cheating in the series. There is, like I said, not total consent all the time. There is super like violent sex to the point of like she bleeds sometimes. It's always about like, oh, Kova's so big every time. And I'm just like, ugh. But I was stupidly addicted to this series. That's where I'm getting at with this. If you make it past the first half of the first book, I think you're going to be sucked in. I read this out of morbid curiosity because I'm a dirty, dirty bitch and I wanted to see what was going on. And I understand because I was sucked in so hard, so fast. I read all 4 books within 2 days, and I'm dying waiting for the 5th book, because also Lucia does cliffhangers that will, they will rip you apart, guys. Her cliffhangers, I'm not even fucking with you. They're crazy. And so the cliffhanger for the 4th one, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. So there's also, wow, there's also triggers for like physical illness, and infertility. So know that. There's a lot of triggers for this book. There's a reason why it's taboo and you cannot purchase it anywhere except for with her. But I'm telling you about it, and I'm telling you I liked it, and I was addicted, and I can't make it 5 stars, but I want to know what happens so badly, because this weird thing happens where I hated both characters through the 1st book and most of the 2nd book, but I was just kept going because I couldn't help myself. And somewhere mid 3rd book, it like changed. And through the 2nd half of the 3rd book and through the 4th book, I just wanted to know how we could work this out, because they both just keep like getting older. So we're at where she's 17, but Cove has been sleeping with her for almost 2 years, and there's things. And so he's almost 35, and just things. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, then we have Misconduct by Penelope Douglas. This one isn't really that taboo. This one isn't even that crazy. So if you're not wanting it crazy taboo, this one is a teacher and her student's father. So not taboo at all, besides the fact of like you shouldn't be involved with them, but there's no laws broken or issues really happening. And so Tyler is the name of the guy. Yeah, he is running for senator and someday wants to run for president, and she is his son's English teacher, of course. And she first meets Tyler because she is doing kind of like a hybrid class where she gives her students homework they need to do on their phones, and they actually have their phones in class and like work on things through social media and things to do their homework. And it's a really cool program, and Tyler does not want his son using his phone. And so he throws a big fit, and she just like goes right up against him because she's like, this is what we need to do. And also Tyler has been pretty estranged from his kid for a long time because he and the mother had his son very young, and he was not around until recently, and he's not doing a great job of it either. And then this woman, she's been through a lot. She had been stalked before, and her brother are kind of like codependent on each other, and not in a super creepy way, just in they've both lost both of their parents are gone, and so they have a really close relationship, and her brother is a little bit like jealous of her having friends outside of him. So yeah, it's not healthy, but it's also not like, ooh, sexual kind of or anything. This is actually Penelope Douglas's only mainstream published book, so that's cool. And this one was a little bit kinky, but not anything compared to some of the others. And it's really not that taboo either compared to some of Penelope Douglas's other books. So this could be a fun one to start with for you if you don't want anything too taboo crazy, but it is a 10-year age gap still, and you know, people are in different places in their life with that stuff. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is probably the kinkiest one on here, and that is Dirty Daddies by Jade West. This is a male-female menage, male-female menage. There is crossing of swords, as they say. And I heard someone describe it that way on another video, and I was like, ooh, I can use a term that I've never used before. Swords do cross. Sorry. But this is actually it's kind of based off of like having a sugar baby. And so there's this girl who is trying to pay off some debt she has, as well as support her horse. Which was fun. There's lots of actually like stable stuff and like horses and things in there if that's something you're interested in. And so she finds out about this sugar baby site where she can apply to be a sugar baby for, well, anyone. And specifically, there is this bisexual male couple. They've been together for a while, and they're looking for a woman who will like both of them and be with them for, I think the period is like 2 months or something, but really they're looking for a third companion for the both of them. Like they want a menage relationship, and they also are looking for someone to basically be their surrogate too, but they also want to they want a wife, basically. They want a wife, they want to have babies. That's what they're looking for. But they're afraid to just straight up mention that, so they want to try to woo the woman. And that's difficult because one of the partners, he is a little bit harder to love than the other. And that is their deal, though, is that you can't just love one of us. And the girl, though she may be willing to sleep with both of them, is really more drawn to one of them than the other. And that's not how it works for them. So they have like 60 days to see if this will work, if she can love both of them. And if not, then they will call this the end. And here's something I'll tell you about Jade West. If you look up Jade West on Kindle Unlimited or wherever you look her up, and you see the list of her books and you see the names of her books, they all seem super erotic and smutty. And they are. They are. However, I have never read a Jade West that, besides trying to shock you with what it's about, because either she has a menage, or she has really strange kink in hers, or she has age gaps, she has all these different kinds of kinks in her book, but she uses them to tell some stories, guys, some brave and painful stories. And there's a lot more going on in this story than just wanting to read a menage. So that's what I have to say about Jade West. And I can confidently say about every one of hers I've read. I've read 4 or 5 of hers. They all have a shocking tagline. You know, there's 3 people in a relationship. There's this toxic relationship, poison, call me daddy. Like, there's all these names. And then you read the book and they just tear your heart out. This book, with a cover like this, I cried. I did. And yeah, I cried a lot. I know it. But this book was so good. And there's so much more going on than just the dirty sex part. That's just the fun. That's the fun of it. But it is telling you something. And it was really powerful and really good. So, yeah. So there you go. There is 10 more age gap with some taboo ones in there for sure for you to check out. Tell me your favorites. I'm always looking for these. Like I said, I have 2 more that I'm looking at that got shared with me during the live show that we did last weekend. And I can't wait. So please send me your age gaps. I'll tell you if I've read them or not. I've read a lot. This is my 3rd video I've made so far. Make sure you check out the other 2. I have a recommendations playlist that I'll link at the end of the video that has all of my taboo romances, age gap, everything in there. So you can check that out. Thank you so much for watching. I put up 3 to 4 videos a week, and you can watch some more of them right now. Bye!